Anything I say, I'll just like start crying.
The anesthesiologist says, okay, you're gonna start to feel sleepy soon. There are just such highs and then such lows.
I've been fine this whole time.
Oh yeah, how's your recovery been?
From one step closer.
It's really hard to hide your disappointment. So how many eggs did we get?
It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
This might be a pessimistic way of looking at it, but what I've realized is it's not over.
Desk lady?
That was the front desk lady. People are literally like, they're not open right now.
That's hilarious.
I think we're the first people here.
That's cool.
I am petrified.
Oh,
I can't talk about it too much.
okay. Okay.
But I just wanted to take a clip before. I literally can't even, I don't know why I turned on the camera. Anything I say, I'll just like start crying.
That's okay. Cool part is you get to look back at this after.
Yeah.
I think that there's gonna be a big sense of relief. Yeah.
I know there will be, I just can't.
I know. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Everybody in there is for you.
I feel like the first nurse that asked me how I'm doing, I'm just gonna be like,
Yeah. Shirley's gonna understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even in there. I'm freaking out.
It's okay.
Somebody commented on my video last night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really funny.
Yeah.
Because I said, I was like, the only person I would trust in there doing this is Jack, but he can't do it. So, and someone commented, they were like, that is so funny, because you wouldn't even let him push the IUI. And it is funny.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic.
I know, I wouldn't even let you, like, do it.
The IUI, yeah.
No, isn't that so funny?
Wow.
But, like, all I want right now is, like, you to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure if I was the one who's doing it, you still might find a way to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. By the time, like, the nurses, like, calm me down and everything,
Yeah.
I probably would not want you to do it. Oh my gosh, I do not want to look like a freaking mess when I walk in there. Alright.
You crush it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's for our baby.
For a baby.
Yeah.
Our family.
I can do that.
You can do anything.
Also, I didn't grow a tumor overnight. We're keeping his sample really nice.
Thing's got this. I hope I sealed that lid all the way.
That's so gross. I'll see you guys later. You guys, I did it. I can't believe it's over.
All done, baby.
I feel so emotional.
Yeah.
I got my
You do.
we're one step closer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel in a lot of pain. Made sure that there was no like aspirin or ibuprofen in there. That was my like big concern, that like they just wouldn't hear or they wouldn't remember who I was, so I was so scared. Said nope, and you took Tylenol before, and I was like yes, and she was like, I'm also going to give you fentanyl, which will help with the pain and anxiety, and I said fantastic.
You were like, sign me up.
I'm so relieved. Everyone was so nice. I'll catch up with you guys later, but I just wanted to say. Oh, hello, my friends. You guys, there is so much I want to tell you and to catch you up on. If you hear any background noise, I have a fan going over there, and then Jack is in the kitchen, so there's the sink and all of that stuff. But I think I want to do a mini sit down with Jack
to just recount everything because I want you guys to hear from his perspective on everything too, because if I'm being honest, from those last clips, I was definitely just feeling all the emotions, feeling so loopy, but I didn't want to let the day go by without getting some fresh feelings out for you guys while it's still happening, you know? I am here to report that the egg retrieval, like everybody told me, is a breeze. It is a cakewalk, you guys. And I know that everybody is different, but I truly did not come across anybody in my DMs or my comments that had a tough time with the egg retrieval. So if you're as scared and terrified as I was going into it, I just cannot reassure you enough that you are going to be totally good and you're gonna do such a good job. Again, there are so many details that I just want to like start spewing, but it would just be all over the place, so I'll wait on that. But I felt little to no pain throughout the whole thing. I woke up and I thought I felt slightly crampy, but it never evolved into anything whatsoever. And the nurse did reassure me that since there was just some poking around in there, that's what that was, but it went away so fast and they had a heating pad on me and everything. Sleepy medicine also probably really helped as I was just coming out of everything. The only sensations that I have are just maybe some tenderness on like the left and the right side, obviously where they were poking, but I would not even constitute it as pain if I'm being honest. Just a little sensitive, like I don't want to go run a mile right now. So I've just been hanging here, I've been hanging out, I've been keeping up on Tylenol just because I don't want to be like blindsided by anything, not really because I need it by any means. So I've just been taking it every 6 hours. I've also been lying here for the past I don't even know how many hours responding to messages and comments and DMs. Like the amount of love that Jack and I had today was just so astonishing to me. We feel so supported. We feel the opposite of alone, and I just I can't express how grateful I am for you all. So thank you so much. I think before I went in, when I was trying to film a clip, but I literally couldn't say anything without bawling my eyes out, I woke up early. Well, I didn't really sleep, so I just kind of got out of bed earlier than I needed to because I knew reading your all's comments on the video I uploaded yesterday. Yesterday's video was Sunday the 12th video, and it was wild because in that footage I did not know when the egg retrieval was. We were still just doing monitoring appointments, so it was so bizarre in real time editing myself that was talking about how scared she was of like the egg retrieval, and then in real life I was like, girl, you have no idea, the egg retrieval is literally tomorrow. But I knew if the first thing that I did this morning was read your comments, it would bring me so much peace, and it really did. Just reading your all's experiences and reassurance about anesthesia and or your experience with egg retrieval, like it helped me so much. So thank you. Jack right now is making me my favorite meal, sausage cream pasta in the kitchen, and I'm so excited about it. I got sushi today, I got McDonald's french fries today, I got sausage cream pasta today. Like I am a spoiled girl. But most of all, I am relieved that this is behind us, and now I'm kind of feeling a new sort of anxiety, but not the level of anxiety I was feeling for the egg retrieval, which is nice. But I'm just feeling a new version of nervousness because now we just need to give a whole new level of positive vibes for our embryos. Like it's not over when they retrieve the eggs. This whole journey is so wild. I feel like we never get a break. I feel like there are just such highs and then such lows, and then you're kind of in the middle sometimes when you don't really feel anything, and then there's like another high again, another low again, and then there's waiting and anticipating, and it doesn't stop. So as much as I want to just sit here in the relief that the egg retrieval is over, I want it to not be for nothing. I want a good shot at this cycle, and that starts with good eggs, and that starts with fully developed embryos. So, oh my gosh. Next time you see me, I'll be with Jack, and we'll recount all of the details of everything we can remember from this day. Oh, hey guys!
Hey friends!
It's so weird knowing that like we're in the future, but we're talking about specifically egg retrieval day right now, because there is so much
going on, and there are so many steps after egg retrieval day that we're not gonna muddy this vlog with everything that's been going on in the last few days. We're just gonna stick to the egg retrieval, but we are also, because it was part of egg retrieval day, going to touch on how many eggs we got. So I think first off, I am doing so good recovery-wise. Thank you all so much for all of the kind questions and how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, how I recovered. There was never any pain. When I first got out, there was a little bit of what I could feel crampiness going on. My only concern was if it was gonna ramp up and be worse, but it never got worse. It only got better from there, and I barely felt it. I was just kind of like waiting for pain, and it just went away. It was totally fine. And then otherwise, everything just felt a little swollen. It felt like everything was kind of bumping up against each other. I felt very unstable, but again, no pain. It was just kind of getting up slower from my seat than normal, especially on that first day. The second day, it was still kind of the same thing, but I felt good enough for a walk. And they also told me to rest up that first day, so I just made sure to like completely rest up that first day. And then the second day I went for a very, very slow hot girl walk outside, and it was really nice, but I was snail pacing it. Like, it was not a very impressive walk whatsoever. And then just from there, everything has gotten better. I would say, like, I literally don't feel any different than my normal self today. And today is Friday, and my procedure was on Monday, so.
I've been fine this whole time.
Oh yeah, how's your recovery been? Good. I'm so glad. So we're gonna do a walkthrough of exactly our experience with our egg retrievals. We walk into the clinic, and there were a few people in the waiting room.
No, we're gonna start at the beginning. When a mommy and a daddy.
Oh my gosh, when a mommy and a daddy can't have babies, this is what happens.
Oh, you went for the abrasion.
So we walk in to the clinic, and there were a few people in the waiting room. So I didn't know if they were also egg retrieval day people, because in our clinic, and I know in a lot of clinics just by talking to people, they have 1 week where they schedule all of the egg retrievals and they line everybody up that week. So it's really OR week in the clinic during that week. And so I was like, are these people egg retrievals? Are they not? It was very apparent that they were waiting for us, because when we got to the counter, they just looked at me and they go, are you June? And I was like, yes. And they were like, oh, perfect. Cool. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, no. Did they take you first?
Yes, they did.
And I freaked out.
They were like, okay, and you have your specimen. And so they whisked me away.
And I didn't expect that. And so as a very nervous wreck, as you guys saw going in,
Dingo's eyes were just like, boom.
I was like, I thought I was going to get to be just with him the whole time. And I was not looking forward to him being taken. I think I asked out loud. I said, are you going to bring him back to the waiting room? And she said, yes, we'll bring him right back. And she was very reassuring. Yeah, they like have a door to go into the back behind like the office and all that stuff. And they opened the door. And as I'm walking back, there's 2 nurses coming forward, and I think those are the nurses who end up grabbing you. So like, I go in the first office on the left, like where you get back there, it's with
like
someone that's gonna like confirm his ID and everything like that.
Yeah, they verify him when I say him, all that stuff. I have to verify she is my partner. So then at one point, like, she's asking me questions, and the nurse's face pops up, and like it's clearly Mac, because the nurse immediately is like, don't worry, June, we'll bring him right back.
Don't worry, honey. Like, we will bring him. And then from my perspective, Jack goes back, and I'm stuck in the waiting room without him, but reassured he's coming back. And then 2 seconds after he disappears in the back, 2 nurses are like, June, you can follow us. I'm like, where is he? Where is he? And I go, and I don't know where they took him. And then the first door I walk by, I see Jack, and I look in, and the nurse immediately, that was with Jack, said, don't worry, we will bring him to you. And that, it just felt really good. I feel like there was a comment on one of my videos and that said every single step of the way on egg retrieval day, she felt better and better about everything. And that's so true. So I felt a little bit better. And then these 2 nurses are like escorting me back, but they're very sweet, but it felt like I was just being like escorted back. And they go, how are you today? And I go, I'm really nervous. And they're like, we're gonna take care of you, it's fine. And then I could just feel myself starting to like, I was freshly crying and sobbing in the car, so like I was not over it at all. And I take a few more steps and I just go, I'm actually not doing good at all. And I just start like crying. Like, they could tell my voice and everything, and I have a mask on, so all you can see are just tears. Like, I just start crying, and they both like touch my shoulder, and they're like, oh honey, don't even worry, once we get back there we're going to talk you through absolutely everything. And I think the worst part of that journey is that we go right past my doctor's office, who was sitting there with the anesthesiologist, and all they see is me walking by because their door was like wide open, and I'm just like breathing and like really freaking out, like before we even get back to the pre-op post-op room where you kind of hang out before the OR. So she takes me into my cubby with the bed, the like hospital bed of sorts, and that's where we get to talking, and they were like, so what are you nervous about? Like, let's talk through everything. And even just being able to express right then and there, I'm nervous about going under, I'm nervous I'm accidentally gonna get given ibuprofen, I'm accidentally gonna die, like all of these things. And I said, I'm just really nervous about these things. And they reassured me of everything. And then she actually proceeded to show me at the top of my chart or piece of papers that were like all about me in big red writing, like just like stick out like neon red writing. It said aspirin, ibuprofen, anaphylaxis, hives, like all of that stuff. And it was like, just
do not give,
at the top of the charts. And I felt so much better after seeing that. And then Jack got brought to me. So then the nurse like rushed you in to our section.
Yeah, I got there at like when they had like just finished with your like...
Did I look like slightly more calm?
Yeah, well, you were still a puddle.
And I honestly don't remember a lot after that. Do you remember they told us about what was on the bed?
Yeah, I think
and to change into stuff.
Exactly. There was like about a 45-minute period where we were just
it was a long time,
because you were scheduled in for 9.
But it's a really long time between going in, because they want to make sure they talk to you, they check everything, everything's good, and they give me my fluids all before heading in.
The next, it was just pretty much waiting and trying to distract you so you didn't just, become a puddle again. My doctor came in to check on me and go over everything so I could ask him any sorts of questions or run by anything that I wanted to run by with him. Everyone that came into our space, they were like, how are you today? And I'm like, I'm not good. And they were like, that's funny.
Okay. They were really great. And my doctor, I told you guys, his sense of humor is just so great for me, and he gets us, I feel like.
You were like, I'm not well. And so literally he's just like, yeah, it'd be a little weird if you weren't feeling that way.
Yeah, he was like, it'd be weird if you weren't nervous. And then my anesthesiologist stops by, and my doctor made sure to that was like 5 minutes later, and my doctor made sure to kind of follow him in as well. And the first thing my doctor says to the anesthesiologist says, she's not a really big fan of ibuprofen or aspirin. And so it was just another thing, not that the anesthesiologist wouldn't have seen it, and not that I wouldn't have asked him to reassure myself, but everyone knew my fears and were making sure that they were taken care of.
Yeah,
so
they were really good. The whole team was awesome.
So the anesthesiologist assured me what was in my IV was antibiotics, the sleepy medicine, and then he also, I don't know if this was a last minute decision, but he goes, we're gonna add a little bit of fentanyl in there. And I go, oh, okay, will that help with the pain since I can't have like the pain medicine like in the drip or whatever? It'll probably help with the pain, but more so the anxiety. And I was like, oh, fantastic. It was probably like the smallest amount, because by the time I got home I was very aware. I felt very much myself, just a little bit sleepy maybe, but I think it did help a lot with the pain. Okay. So the time came, I'm like reliving it and my heart is racing. My OR nurse, who's different than the 2 nurses that were helping me and prepping me and everything before, my OR nurse stops by and she said, okay, June, do you have to go to the bathroom? And I was like, actually, yeah, I kind of do, because they were giving me fluid so that I was all hydrated and everything, it seemed. And so I go to the bathroom and she goes, okay, we'll do this and then I'll take you back there. And I was like, oh shoot, like this is actually happening. And so I go to the bathroom and I have my little wheelie thing with my IV, like we're walking with it and stuff. And then she goes, okay, let's stop by and say bye to your husband. And I was like, oh my God, bye? Like what? And I give him a really, really big juicy smooch and I'm like freaking out. They start opening the door to the OR. It's literally connected to the post-op room. Everything felt very intimate and small. I kind of liked that. It wasn't a massive room, but there was definitely a lot of room to move around. It was very dim because it is an ultrasound room. Like they're using an ultrasound to guide where the needle's going and what the eggs are doing and which ones to suck up and things like that. It was a very dim environment with a spotlight, it felt like, right on my bed. My nerves were definitely getting the best of me at that point, but everything went so fast once I got in the room. My OR nurse is getting me all hooked up, she's getting my sheet ready and like all of that stuff. And then something to note, you sit down and you immediately, for me, this is my experience, they had really heavy duty stirrups. They weren't the stirrups that are at your OBGYN's office with just the foot thing. They like had the foot thing, but then they had a place and like a squishy thing to like put my entire leg in, because I'll be asleep, I can't like control my legs, you know? So she had me do that, which I wasn't a fan of. I'd rather them have done that after I fell asleep because I was just very nervous and I didn't like that. But she did have a really big sheet to go over me so I didn't feel exposed, and I wasn't exposed before the procedure begun. So it wasn't like I was just spread eagle for the entire room. But that was really nice. She made sure I was all covered up and I appreciated that. And like I said, everything went so quickly. So as I sat down, she was telling me to scooch down my legs, all of that stuff. Simultaneously, my anesthesiologist was right here and he was putting this on my finger, the pulsey thing, I think. Simultaneously, she's also saying that it's time for the stickers, and so she's putting my heart rate stickers all over me. And then he's putting a blood pressure thing on me. My nurse says one more thing to me, and I look at her and I say, "Are you gonna be here at my head for the procedure?" And she says, "I will be here for when you fall asleep." And I said, "Okay." And as I was saying that to her and we had that like quick interaction, the anesthesiologist says, "Okay, you're gonna start to feel sleepy soon." And I'm not kidding, I remember looking at the nurse and we had the interaction, him saying that, and then me looking up at the ceiling because I started feeling dizzy, and I was out. It couldn't have been more than, oh my god, like 3 minutes of me like in that OR room before I knocked out. The next thing I remember, I open my eyes and I go, "Is it over?" Because I'm like, "Are you halfway through?" And I'm awake, like, what is going on? I open my eyes, I said, "Is it over?" And they say, "Yep, you're all finished." And the first thing out of my mouth, and I remember this, I said, "No shit." I was so relieved.
Yeah, so like literally, from my perspective, Dingle is in there for a total of 12 minutes, right? Literally, like, Dingle gets wheeled in, and then I like whip out my phone and I'm like, I'll read it like an email thread or something, and then I'll text her parents. And so like I get through one email thread, like I had no idea what to expect. I was like, oh, maybe it's like a half hour or whatever.
Sure.
That's what we were talking about. And I get through one email thread and I'm like, okay, I'll text her mom. And literally, as I'm starting the text, her nurse comes out, the OR nurse, and goes, "Okay, she's all done." I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yep." And so she's like, "Yep, so she'll coming out like just 12 minutes. And so she was prepping the room or whatever, opening the curtains and then the doors, and literally the doors are opening and Mac is saying like exactly what she just like, "It's over." And they're like, "Yep." And you can hear the anesthesiologist go like, "Yeah, it took about like 15-20 minutes total from the start when you were being wheeled in." And Mac just going, "No shit." And then like everyone just like laughing. It was hysterical. The nurse had mentioned like everybody thought you were so funny. Anxious self inside there. And then our doctor came out before. He had to like fill out some papers or something, like your chart and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yep, she's all set. Like, now's the time. Like, if you ever wanted something, now's the time to ask her. So she'll definitely say yes. And like he like turns around and something. He's like, "Oh, honey, we got a boat." Like, "Oh yeah, we'll get that Bronco we always wanted." Right?
The Jeep Wrangler. It's so weird. Like, no matter like the sleepy drugs, the fentanyl, I remember all the conversations that I had.
Yeah.
My perception just may be a little off. That's why I was really interested to hear like Jack's perspective of like what was going on that day. I just don't remember any of the discomfort that I would have if I wasn't under, and I would go under for that 10 times over after that experience.
Gotcha.
The worst part was truly the anticipation and anxiety surrounding things that I just don't know about, things that are unknown. So how many eggs did we get? So what is interesting to note, and what I'm taking away from this whole experience, IVF, egg retrieval, all of it in general. And we might feel a little differently about this because he is definitely more of an optimist in this relationship. I would like to think I am more of a realist / just very anxious busybody in this relationship.
I don't know about a realist.
No,
Let's be
maybe
very
not a
clear.
realist. But what's so interesting about this process is that it's never over. And that might sound really negative.
It's never over.
But let me explain. Whether you're dealing with infertility or going through fertility treatments, there's so many things that are unknown, and there's so many things to be nervous about. Like, some people in my comments are more nervous about the injections at home than the egg retrieval, and I was losing sleep over the egg retrieval. There's always going to be things that we are anticipating, or we have nervous energy around, or even anxious energy around. And in those moments when you're so anxious about that, like, you know, how are my follicles growing? I wonder what this appointment will be. I hope my body responds well to the stims. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous about the needles. Like, whatever it is, you think that once that part is over, you're gonna be so relieved, and you will be. But this might be a pessimistic way of looking at it, but what I've realized is it's not over. For me, the egg retrieval was done and I felt this rush of relief, but the immediate thing after, it's almost like I completely forgot about how relieved I was from that procedure, because your brain goes on to the next thing. How many eggs did we get? Because that's huge. It's huge, and it's everything that you've been working for and doing this for up until this moment. And then after that, it's like, how many are going to make it overnight? And then after that, it's how many are going to make it to day 5. It's just something, I don't have a takeaway about that, like a positive kind of spin on it, but it's something that I realized real quick after the egg retrieval. The doctor comes in, and from my perspective, he's holding a piece of paper. It's like a small piece of
like
paper.
a little ticket.
And I don't think I ever told you this. I saw the number before he even flipped it around.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, you could see it, like, on the other side of everything. So I was really hoping that I was missing a digit through the piece of paper, but I wasn't. And he flips it around, and he said, "So, we got 4 eggs." I don't remember how I really reacted at that point. I think I was just overwhelmed with disappointment, if I'm being completely honest.
And that's exactly how you acted.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong, like...
Yeah.
You act the way you act, you feel the way you feel, and this is what was really cool. And like, our doctor was like, you know, hey, so we got 4 eggs. How do you feel about that number?
He paused before moving on.
There is, obviously, doctors are very proud of their numbers and different things like that, and, you know, obviously, like, whether they succeed or not, like, plays into that number. But in that moment, like, he really shows, like, his human side, and, like, it's about the patient. It's about Max. So for him to ask, how do you feel about that number, was really cool.
What did I say? I knew how I felt internally, I just don't remember, like, what I did.
I just remember your face was like, you were like, kind of like laughed, like a snicker, and you were like, and you asked him a question, you were like, so like, this is like a pathetic amount of eggs. Like, how, like, what are your success rates, or like, do you have enough to go forward? Like, how many will, like,
die?
You asked him, like, how many will, like, make it from here or whatever.
It's really hard to hide your disappointment.
And why were you disappointed?
I think before I go on with, like, how we felt about it, I'm so grateful for that number having been passed that day, for sure. Because I know that there are women out there that fight for 1. And so the fact that I had 4, I'm, like, getting choked up about it. Like, I should have been, I feel bad for how I reacted in there.
No, you shouldn't feel bad.
You know, I felt bad because some women just pray for 1 chance, and we had 4. And I think where I went wrong was I forgot to ask, and I forgot to set my expectations with how many eggs he suspects that I might have at the end of it. Because I'm consuming content on TikTok and YouTube about all these women that come out with 15 to 25 eggs. And I looked over a slight detail because we'd never revisited this fact about me when we did our preliminary labs, that we are dealing with a fair egg reserve.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that I don't ovulate every month. It's just that you are born with the number of eggs that you are going to release throughout your lifetime. And I, at this point in time, near 30 years old, had a fair one. There's excellent, good, fair, and depleted, basically.
Something like that, yeah.
Like very, very, very low. That was something that we discovered really early on, because that stat did not play into our IUIs whatsoever because we were just going for 1 to 2 follicles or so with the IUI treatments. He said this number will more so come into play through IVF and when we like look to get as many eggs as we can. And I just forgot to revisit that. And so I didn't level set with myself or ask the question of how many I should expect from this to level set my expectations. So I was hoping for like 10. Like I would have been happy with like a double-digit number. So when he came out with 4, I was convinced that it was all over. I was so sad. I couldn't believe that we went through all of that, did all of that. I went through all of that mental game and just everything leading up to just 4. And that's how I felt in that moment. So,
but that's why Mac is not the realist. That's not a very realistic.
Well, to be fair, I just see women's numbers all the time and like the drop off from how many eggs they got to the next day and how many actually fertilized. There's always a really big
high attrition
like drop off rate. And so I look at my 4 and I'm like, I do not have a lot of room for a high drop off rate. I do not. I felt really sad, but the first thing that we did when I got home and we were laying on the couch, Jack and I are very scientific-y brain, like we love science. And we went to school for behavioral neuroscience. I don't know if anybody knew that, but that's what we went to school for because we love science. And so the first thing he did was look up scientific peer-reviewed studies on drop-off and egg quality because all I kept hearing from the nurse and my doctor was it's quality over quantity. Like if these are good eggs, they're gonna stick and you know, all of this stuff. And so Jack immediately found a study that really reassured me in that moment.
Exactly. After you asked that, the doctor told you, like, it's hard to predict.
When I asked him how it was going to drop off and
how many will come and things like there really is a lot of factors, and so those factors obviously depend on like each patient. So in our case, like Mac is 29, he has this egg reserve, this is how many follicles we got, all that stuff. All this comes together, and then you don't know, how many make it, and then at what point down the road, again, like how many of those make it to the blastocyst stage or whatever.
The final
stage. Mm-hmm. And so it's really difficult for them to say because of those factors.
So I didn't leave feeling great about my 4.
Right. So it's led to the research and things like that.
The egg quality in the women that had way less eggs was good. So it ended up being the same success rates as women that came out with a lot of eggs quantitatively. So it made me feel really good. Honestly, at that point, there was nothing we could do anyway, except for just hope with everything that we had in our bodies that all or most made it over the next 24 hours because that's the next step. If you guys don't know about IVF egg retrieval, that type of thing, they fertilize them really fast after the egg retrieval process, and then they call you the next day with basically how many made it overnight. So like I said before, it's never over.
Never ogre.
It's never ogre. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel better about my number when we were looking up studies and talking through it, and I felt good by the end of that night, but I was still just not hopeful, if I'm being honest. I wasn't hopeful for our drop-off. I didn't feel like we had a lot of chances. But like I said before, we're not gonna muddy this vlog with the next steps and the results that we know. It's been really nice to have this time to process everything from our perspective and kind of go over next steps with our doctor and come to the realization and the reality of everything. That number that made it to the next night, my friends, will be in the next vlog. If you all have absolutely any questions regarding the egg retrieval or any of my experience that we recounted today, make sure to leave it in the comments below. Once we release vlogs of our results and things like that, I would love to do a Q&A of anything that you guys are wondering about this process that we just went through. But yeah, if you are here and you're just stumbling across this channel, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you are new so that you don't miss any big updates, or if you just want to send good vibes to us growing our family. Everybody, do not forget to give this video a big old thumbs up, and we'll catch you in the next one, my friends. We'll see you later. Bye.